Hello everyone, Soprano Theories here, and welcome back to the channel and another video. If you haven't heard or seen, I was featured on the Talking Sopranos podcast as a superfan. If you want to check out my 15 minutes of fame with Steve and Michael, a link will be in the description below. If you enjoy the Sopranos and are new to the channel, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming Sopranos content. In this video, I will be going over every Godfather reference that we saw in the Sopranos. So sit back, relax, and grab a piece of gabagool and enjoy the video. After becoming frustrated over the hospitalization of his father, we see Anthony Jr. tried to purchase a gun. And after learning that he cannot get to Jr. because he's in police custody, Anthony Jr. replies with the quote, "It's difficult but not impossible." Ironically, these are the same words spoken by Rocco Lampone in The Godfather Part 2, in reference to the assassination of Hyman Roth. When pitching the film of Cleaver, Christopher, Silvio, and JT Dolan mentioned films such as the Saw franchise, The Ring, the Friday the 13th franchise, the Freddy Krueger franchise, the Halloween franchise, Ghostbusters, and of course, the Godfather trilogy. In episode 14 of season 6, stage 5, the scene where Jerry gets killed could be a small reference to the infamous Godfather death scene. As for starters, we can briefly hear the sounds of a train in the background, as well as the entire scene taking place in a similar setting to the murder that we saw in The Godfather. In the 15th episode of season 6, Remember When, the episode ends with a lost and broken Uncle Jr. sitting in a chair and stroking a cat. And then the episode abruptly fades to black. This could possibly be a reference of the closing scene in The Godfather Part 2, as we see a similar scene with Michael Corleone in a similar pose. Vito Corleone, Michael's father, is most remembered for stroking a cat as well. In the same episode, Tony picks at his tomato plants in his garden, and in The Godfather, Don Corleone dies while surrounded by tomato plants. According to some fans, this small reference is a foreshadowing of the supposed death of Tony Soprano. In the 8th episode of season 6, Johnny Cakes, after AJ's failed attempt to stab his Uncle Jr., he makes a comment saying how his father's favorite scene from The Godfather is when Michael Corleone seeks revenge towards the men who killed his father. In the pilot episode, when Christopher and Big Pussy are disposing of the body of Emil Kolar, Christopher says Louis Brazzi sleeps with the fishes. This is a blatant reference to The Godfather, as the character of Luca Brasi is from the Godfather film, along with the saying sleeps with the fishes. After being embarrassed by Dr. Cusimano, in reference to a scene from The Godfather Part 2, where a young Vito Corleone holds a bag of guns for Peter Clemenza, Tony ironically does the same to Dr. Cusimano, by filling a box with sand and asking him to hold onto it for a while in a Vito Corleone voice. Episode 12 of Season 1, Isabella, is a direct reference towards The Godfather, as the attempted assassination on Tony Soprano as he was buying orange juice echoes the attempted assassination on Vito Corleone, where he just so happened to be buying oranges. The death of Philly Parisi mirrors the death of Paulie Gatto, where he too was shot in the driver's seat of the car. Also, as Philly leaves to go pick up Gigi, his wife tells him not to forget to pick up the pastries, this being a clear nod to the "don't forget the cannoli" line said by Peter Clemenza's wife. In the 4th episode of Season 2, Commendatori, the guys talk about The Godfather and try to watch a bootleg version of it. We see Paulie state his favorite line being the classic "It was you, Fredo," said by Michael Corleone. We also see a similar shot mirroring the scene of Fredo's death in The Godfather Part 2, as Paulie looks out into the water in Italy. In the season opener of Season 2, Guy walks into a psychiatrist's office, Silvio does an impression of Michael Corleone from The Godfather Part 3. And later in the Season 2 finale, Silvio does the impersonation again, but this time he is seen dressed as Michael Corleone, and he's stating that the true enemy has yet to reveal itself, and that being Pussy being the rat. In the dream, Tony sees Pussy as a fish who states the other fish on either side of him are asleep. This is a reference to death, as Sleeps with the Fishes is from The Godfather and it foreshadows Pussy's ultimate resting place being the ocean. The mortician promises Tony that he will use all of his power and all of his skills on Livia's behalf. Tony then tells him not to go overboard. This is a direct reference to The Godfather, wherein Don Vito Corleone commands the Undertaker Emergio Bonacera to use all of his power and all of his skills to beautify his eldest son, Sonny Corleone, who was killed with an insane amount of bullets riddling his corpse. In a similar way, Sonny's death mirrors Mikey Palmice's death. The descending elevator camera angle used to introduce the Mortician is also taken directly from The Godfather. Here, we see Jackie Aprile Jr. challenging his inner Vito and Michael Corleone as he strikes a similar pose to that of Marlon Brando in the opening scene of The Godfather. In the 4th episode of Season 4, Christopher and Silvio meet Frank Creasy. Creasy is played by Richard Bright, who also played Al Neri in The Godfather, as Neri was a Corleone family member and assassin that was featured in all 3 Godfather films. In the episode, the character talks about killing a Tommy Neri, who was Al Neri's nephew in The Godfather. There are some shots from Season 5 of the Soprano home with autumn leaves blowing in the wind that pays tribute to the opening shots of The Godfather Part 3, which portrayed the rundown Corleone compound in Lake Tahoe. In the Soprano home movie theater, Tony removed the media system after Carmela and Tony's separation. The woman enjoys snacks and wine instead of watching Casablanca, and they say that the next movie on their list is The Godfather. AJ's teacher calls AJ Fredo Corleone in a conversation that he had with Mr. Wegler. This obviously refers to Michael Corleone's less gifted older brother Fredo in the Godfather novel and films. The test dream episode makes multiple references to the film of The Godfather. Annette Bening speaks the line, "I don't want my husband coming out of there with his cock in his hand," referring to an almost identical line spoken by Sonny Corleone. When Tony reaches behind the toilet tank for the non-existent gun, this is a reference to a similar scene with Michael Corleone, as this is the famous scene of him grabbing the gun behind the toilet when Michael Corleone seeks revenge towards the men who killed his father. This ironically being Tony's favorite scene from The Godfather. Well, that's it everyone, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to click like and click subscribe. And be sure to click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming Sopranos content. Did I miss any references? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, for more Sopranos content, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.